It's conversation. That's the thing I used to do, so I'm just continuing it.
Conversations with Jordan. Yeah.
That sounds like too like therapy based.
Heavy conversation. Heavy, heavy. You got so heavy on me.
How's it going, everyone? This is Jordan from Real Ones here, and we're having another conversation with Galaxy Francis.
That's me.
How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How you?
Good. I appreciate you coming through, chilling with us. I kind of just want to get right at it because I've been listening to like a lot of your stuff. I'm personally like a big fan of what you're making. You have definitely really inspired me right now with like the work ethic. You have been dropping a song and a video every week for 8 weeks now, but the calendar is how long?
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
10 songs, 10 videos. 10 weeks. What has that process been like? Because that's a lot of work. Like, I've done one video, so it's like 10. That's different.
Man, proper preparation prevents poor performance. And I say that to say a lot of preparation went into everything. We didn't think about deadlines. I think like that was a big thing. We thought about tasks first. So think about the music being done in November. It was mastered in January. The videos were all done by the end of January, I think maybe like February. So everything now, like everything started releasing February 14th. I think Chemical Reaction was the first drop. So everything was already ready to go from there. Again, just a lot of preparation, a lot of 10-hour days of editing, a lot of 10-hour days of mixing, and a lot of heartbreak and experience and tears and sweat and marijuana.
Yeah. Gotta have that. How hands-on are you with this video process, though? Are you like just throwing some ideas at people, or like are you directing, or like how are you going about this?
A little bit of both. I kind of wear whatever hat like needs to be worn. At the time, Lou and I, my manager, we'll throw ideas at the wall, just like whatever sticks, and then I'll be like, all right, cool, let me go get the reference shot. So I'm the one putting together most of the treatments when it comes to what shot are we going to use, like what kind of frames are we going for, what location. From there, we just delegate who's going to do what, like who's going to find the location that matches that. And then we work with Jawan, who's he's very open to collaborating. Jawan is amazing. He's got an amazing eye, like his editing, his coloring. And we brought all of the treatments to him. We brought all 10. The only one that probably wasn't really fleshed out was Hate to Do It, and I wrote that treatment 20 minutes before we had to be on set. I'm wherever it needs to be, and then in the post-editing process, like, I'm making cuts. Jawan is kind of like the hands, and he's the technicality, and I'm like the vision behind it in most of those sessions. So I'm everywhere.
I love that. It's really cool to see artists be like hands-on with their work. Then it gets to be like much more of your vision as well.
I just got a natural passion for it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I grew up just watching movies, sitting on the couch with some Doritos or some hot chips and just watching movies, I just always had the eye. Even when I make music, I'm thinking about it cinematically. My favorite artists make cinematic music, so it just comes natural to me.
I think one of my favorite things about your music is your ability to put your personality in it. For like anybody that listens to your music but hasn't necessarily met you, you do a good job at showing like who you are in the music. How did you learn how to kind of put that in there? Because a lot of people can like make music and then you meet them and you're like, oh, they're not really reflective of what their music sounds like. And not in a negative way, but it's just like you're very much, you speak how you rap and like, things like that.
Yeah, I think how you do anything is how you do everything. So just who I am as a person lends itself to my creativity. And then also I stand on the shoulders of giants. Like a lot of the people that influenced me and that came before me, Frank Ocean, Kendrick Lamar. You think of animated people, animated artists, even Stevie Wonder, Prince, Gambino. These are all different people that inflect through their voice, through their gift. And if you knew me by my previous artist name, like I rap primarily, and like singing was something I would dabble in. So just wanting to emote more and wanting to go on this journey myself of just like feeling more. And because I just emote creatively, like that's just gonna come out. So as I evolve as a person, the personalities and the music evolve as well.
Facts. Kind of going back to this calendar and the 10-week drops and whatnot, what was kind of like your why behind this format? Because it's very unorthodox. I haven't seen someone do this before on a small scale, big scale, or really at all.
Damn, I feel like I've heard of the waterfall method. when it comes to releasing. And the waterfall method is, you know, you release a single. Let's say you got 3 songs. You know, exactly how I'm doing it. The first week, song 1 comes out, and then the second week, song 2 comes out, but song 1 is now the second song, and so on until you finish that waterfall, so to speak. So I had always wanted to experiment with that for a couple of reasons, just because the landscape of attention and capacity for like most people, we are dealing in a saturated market, like as musicians, as creatives. So how can I decide to stand out? I put a lot of work into this music, so I also want to put a lot of work into how are people going to find the music, how are people going to stay engaged in the music. And through a lot of trial and error, just releasing singles alone, I understood how that went, and I felt how I felt when that was over with. Also dropping a whole album and realizing how that went, you know, when that was over with. And pre and post rollout is very important for all of that. And I think breaking that up allows each song to live for itself. And for us to do 10 videos, that was also very strategic as well. Like a lot of the videos are just like 1 or 2 shots. And that came from artists like La Russell, you know, who just do kind of like these 1-shot videos of them performing their verse. And I love that. And there were other artists like Coda the Friend was one of the first people I remember seeing do just like long frame, you know, long zoom out. And it's just them spitting the verse and the frame is beautiful.
In these videos, though, you have a character, Agent G. Who is Agent G? What is Agent G? Is it exactly what it looks like, or what's going on there?
They see you got Agent G there. He's showing up here. British space spy, you get me?
Yeah.
And he's been sent here with Agent K. Or perhaps he was born here. Still working out the law.
Does he have papers?
Papers?
Papers.
Papers.
Was he born here?
Where's he? Is it Australia now?
Maybe.
Still working on the character, mate.
Nice.
But no, for the most part, honestly, it's just having fun, putting things in context. We were trying to figure out how to make this phrase of "I hate to do it to you" like engaging, and we had a few different ideas, and the one that stuck was the Men in Black thing. Like just the neuralizer is the perfect thing. I hate to do it to you,
yeah.
You know, and we just kind of worked around that. And for me to have a suit, there were even photo shoots that I had done in the past that kind of alluded to, you know, kind of like a space agent kind of vibe, and just fleshing that out more, giving each song its own life for real.
No, I love that. I'm a huge Men in Black fan. That's like one of me and my grandma's favorite movies. So we used to watch that all the time, and I do think that is like a perfect reference to that.
Because it could have been something else. Indulge me for a second. Like imagine, you know what I'm saying, just different shots. This was one of the ideas, you know, like you getting served a subpoena. I hate to do it to you, you know? Or you just get like bad news from your doctor, you know?
I think the neuralizer is a little
more digestible,
it's more fun,
right?
Yeah. So on this album, what has it been like working with like so many new collaborators? I see a lot of new names that you have on this guest list, and I mean they're all really fire. So one, like, what's it been like working with new people, and kind of how did that come about? Each one,
man.
Well, not each one because there's about 30.
Yeah, there's like a lot.
But some of your faves, you know.
Man. Ethan is a producer that I work with frequently, so you see a lot of his stuff on there. He was on the most recent project, like Intergalactic, as well. And around that time I was doing that, I just wanted to work with people more. I think for a long time I just got used to creating on my own and just like creating at home. So just creating a space to work with other people allowed for so many amazing ideas to happen. A song like Classic happened in a Saturday session that I used to host. I used to host these open sessions on Saturdays, and that one was at studioSHAPES. It was like maybe 10 people in the room total, maybe 4 or 5 actively working on that song, you know, chopping the sample, working on the drums. Sir Deep came up with that. That was actually a verse, and we ended up splitting it up to be like an intro. It was just like one of those Kanye, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy moments that you hear about. It's just like one of those collaborative moments. And then there's a left field moment like Valet, who, shout out to Ben for throwing a oop. He was very Chris Paul, Blake Griffin over here. And I was just throwing the idea out there. That song, when we had made the beat, I immediately was like, I want something that sounds like a Valet bounce, you know? And I started writing to it, and I was like, Valet has to get on this now, just jokingly. And I was like, you know what? That can actually happen. We gonna get Valet on this song. So I'm telling everybody I know that might have some type of connection to get a Valet verse. I'm telling everybody, yo, here, listen to the song. Vlay would be perfect on this, wouldn't he? Make it happen. And then Ben was the one to finally make it happen. So that was probably the moment in the album that made a lot of other things and collaborations feel more possible and almost mandatory. As much space as I can take up on a song, I'm not always meant to take up that space on a song. I like hearing other voices. I like hearing something different added to just the space that I create. I'm trying to think of one more. Let me see if I can.
How did I Hate to Do It to You come about?
Oh man, so I met Kenny at a Wind Down Wednesday at studioSHAPES. It's an event that we throw. You've been, but for the people that don't know, we throw bi-weekly events at studioSHAPES called Wind Down Wednesday. And a guy named Corrigan, who produced Hyperspace, the second half of Hyperspace, he introduced me to Kenny. I follow Kenny on Spotify. I get in the car and immediately listen to him. And literally every song, like, and he's got like 12, 13 songs on his profile. I was like, yo, I got to work with this dude. So we end up linking up. I Hate to Do It to You was the first song I think that we worked on together. And then there's another song, like an R&B song, I think we did that same night. That'll come out at some point. But that wasn't the original beat. The drums are the same from the original beat, but there was like a more eerie guitar sample that ended up being placed somewhere else, which is why we ended up not using it. It like definitely sounded like a Future song for real. I'm not gonna lie. But I had this idea to throw a soul sample under it just because I love contrast and I love producers like Knowledge who just have a knack for doing stuff like that. Like No Worries is one of my favorite groups, collaboration projects ever. So those kind of feelings with auto-tune just like intrigued me so much. So I found that sample and Let the Beat Build by Lil Wayne was a huge inspiration for that arrangement. So you think about Let the Beat Build and he's just rapping and then it's not until the hook until you get the full verse and the full song. And it's just such a great way to build momentum and give space for the words and for the whole build up. So Kenny is somebody actually that I'm working on a whole album with. We made like 10 to 12 songs in the last month. So that's how that came together. Definitely a divine thing.
What was it like working with Sir Mikey?
Man, that one was a Hail Mary too. We just sent the email and was like, yo, would you rock with this? And he was like, yeah, thanks for thinking of me. And he made it happen, you know? He made it happen within maybe like 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
Sent the verse back, and I was just like wow, because I really grew up on Sir Mike. You know what I'm saying? You know? Cool Kids were a huge influence. The reason I was dressing the way I was dressing for real. So to have that, it was just a blessing for real. And for him to be easy to work with. You know, for who he is, we were blessed in that situation. So I'm grateful.
That's beautiful. What does success mean to Galaxy Francis?
Man, it's a great question. Success, to be able to impact people, to be able to physically like experience that. So like at shows, to be able to provide for my family for sure, to be able to provide for my community, provide opportunities for my community, and just to be happy with what I'm doing, to be able to go to sleep at night, like my integrity's still intact, you know. I think I seen a quote not too long ago that's like, there's not much sacred in this world other than your integrity of your mind, you know. So I think if I could reach all the goals that I'm trying to reach, you know, with integrity, then that's some decent success.
How has being a part of studioSHAPES impacted you as an artist and maybe even a person?
As an artist, definitely collaboration has become just a huge forefront, and making space for other artists. Man, just being around Renzel, being around Rome, being around everybody else that's here, being around Lou. We all feed off each other when it comes to work ethic. Like, we all dogs, you know. It's like when Michigan had the Fat Five, you know. It's like we all could damn near put up 25 on you and 15. So it's inspiring and encouraging just to like be around people that care about it as much as you. You're reassured knowing like, man, these people work hard too. These people believe in me to the point where they support how hard I work. And it's reciprocated, you know. We share creativity, we share space, we share a lot of experiences together. And that definitely influences who I am as a person. I have a lot of siblings, but I didn't always like grow up in the same household with those siblings. So I didn't always have a chance to experience just a certain camaraderie at a younger age. So to have that chosen family here meant a lot. And of course, that influences who you are as a person and how you show up in the world, how you show up in this space.
Love that. Me and you are both artists, and I feel like a lot of times people kind of only see the art side of us and not the humanistic side of us. And one thing I definitely wanted to hear your thoughts about it and touch on is just like your experience with anxiety.
I had a feeling this was coming.
It's something that I definitely experienced too. Like for me, it manifested a lot in like doubting social situations, like maybe thinking that like people didn't like me for like certain reasons, but it was all like fictitious. At least like for me. How exactly does it manifest for you?
How long we got? It's a long list, man. I think it can be broken down into a few different categories, like physically, mentally, and then spiritually. So physically, it feels like indigestion. You know what I'm saying? And dehydration and bloating. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that's not what's actually happening, but like that's what my anxiety is telling me is happening. Like if it gets worse, like nausea, damn near dizziness, like I'm tired all the time. I don't want to eat. The mental aspect that comes with that, you know, those things influence how you feel mentally about yourself. So I just don't feel the best about like my life or like what I'm experiencing at this time. Or sometimes I'm just like, man, I'm gonna always be broken or I'm gonna always be this way, because you find yourself getting out of these funks that you're in, just in waves. And sometimes you're like, oh, maybe the wave will never come back. But it's something that I'm trying to accept that I deal with constantly. So that's a mental weight. And then lastly, like spiritually, you can be defeated just by like, oh, I'm so anxious about my life and my existence all the time. It's like, well, what purpose do I have if I'm just suffering all the time? That's how it manifests for me. A lot of recurring, racing negative thoughts. Like you mentioned too, just socially, you'll just be a little more awkward. Like people can think that I'm intimidating or just standoffish when I'm really like.
People think that about you?
I get
You know what? I feel like somebody might
times.
say that about me too.
I get that more times than you might think.
Yeah.
And again, like I might just be in the corner trying to figure out like, damn, why did they shoot X, Y, and Z on this, you know, anamorphic lens? You know, just like some random shit. I'm just trying to figure out how Stanley Kubrick did something. And you just come over and I'm just like, oh, hey, right. You know, sometimes you got to zap yourself out of your own world. It shows up a lot of different ways for a lot of people. I can get more specific and more in depth, you know, if you got any more questions. But
no, I appreciate that. I think the human side of artists gets lost contradictingly, like in the art. People begin to see the commodification. That's it. You know?
I think there's an anxiety around performance too.
Yeah.
Like as an artist that kind of creates this cycle of burnout that influences everything I was just talking about. If you deal with anxiety, like I would do as much research about the vagus nerve and your nervous system as possible, because that's kind of like where all of these symptoms are regulated and can be a little more controlled.
You spoke a lot about burnout and deadlines and things like that on Burning Candles. What helps you push through those like difficult moments where you need to get things done, right? But you don't exactly, you're not necessarily in the place, whether that be physically, mentally, spiritually, to do that in a jipper-like way, you know?
Well, first, let's just start with grounding. You know, like just as a performer, as somebody in the public eye, as a leader, like you have to be grounded in something. Some people are grounded in their faith. Me personally, I feel like I'm grounded in my family and just like in my routine and just kind of like being a normal person. Like I get joy out of cleaning the crib. I get joy out of cleaning my clothes, out of just being like my room is taken care of and stuff like that. So having that grounding and those different things, I think is very important. And then thinking about, who do I want to be? You know, who do I want to show up as? As much as I'm experiencing these things, I may be in pain or just anxious, but who do I want to be when I show up to people? I think that makes things a little bit easier, because if you can envision what you want to do and who you want to be, how you want to speak, it's a little bit easier to do that than just like freestyle.
Yeah,
freestyle, bro. So
winging it.
That's exactly it.
Are you like actively working on building a better relationship with like rest and things of that nature?
I try to not be guilty about it. It's really the guilt and the shame that comes
That's
with
where
it.
anxiety comes in for me. Like having days off could send me in a spiral where I'm just like, I'm lazy. I'm not doing nothing.
But you need those days. Like, I'm learning when it comes to guilt and shame, it's like, well, it's okay. Like, I don't have to be Galaxy Francis today, you know?
Right.
Like, the music is there, especially as someone that plans a lot. Like, we've executed so well. I can take a week off and the posts are still scheduled. You feel me? Like nothing's really gonna break. I think that we deserve breaks a lot of times, and we need to tell ourselves that we deserve that break.
A part that's like plays in my mind a lot is like people look at artists and, you know, they tell us, you have a fun job. You just have fun, this, and that. It's not something that's taken seriously.
Sure about that?
Right. It's like, I am dying. So I think that gets into my mind a lot personally in those moments. You don't even work for real. Like,
You don't even go here.
Yeah, no, for real.
Feeling misunderstood is a trigger for anxiety for me too. It's like, man, you don't even know what I'm doing
That's a
to
huge
show
trigger.
up.
Yeah, in general.
Just to be here. You
Right.
don't know what I have to, you don't know that I had to stretch for an hour and then meditate for a half hour. Just to get my heart rate down to a rate where I feel like it's walkable. It's okay that we need rest, bro. It's definitely okay to take a day off. I personally try to schedule. Like I have my don't call me days, don't text me. If you do, I'm gonna be irritated days. And that's like Sundays or Mondays, wherever I can help it. And as freelancers, like we don't always have a set schedule to where we can be like,
Right.
I'm gonna take these days off because that's money. But how you gonna show up to your shoot dead?
Yeah.
How you wake up dead? You know what I'm saying?
And he woke up dead. How you wake up dead?
You got to take care of yourself, or you gonna be doing whatever you doing like a zombie.
Right, and then the work's not good.
Yeah.
Or it's not where it should be, you know?
And then you're gonna be guilty about that. You're gonna be like, oh, well,
Because even when we go below, still above average. You feel me?
hey, I see what you did there.
Yeah, you know. One last thing that I would really like to know, and you kind of touched on it earlier, that you had a former artist name that you went under. So I would just like to know, what does Galaxy Francis know that he wishes L.A. Van Gogh knew?
That's a doozy. Zoinks. Damn. I'm stuck on the question, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like, I felt like that SpongeBob episode when he was just writing the letter T for so long.
What I learned in boating school is...
Man, I would say everything you need is already there. I think that's the one thing Galaxy Francis has accepted. The LA needed to hear. Like, you got it.
I appreciate you sitting down with us, bro.
Hey, love, bro.
The music is incredible. It'll all be there by the time this is out. So y'all go get that.
Metal Gear Francis.
Metal Gear Francis, y'all. Out now. Stream it. Buy it. Definitely buy it.
Shoot a bootlegger.
Buy it. Shoot a bootlegger.
I would actually be very pleased if my shit would. If I saw burnt CDs that said Metal Gear
Mixtapes?
Francis, I would be very pleased.
I mean, that's how you know it's hot, though.
Yes. Burn CDs, please.
If they're not bootlegging it, like, is it actually hard?
Did you get it off LimeWire? If
Yeah.
you did, screenshot it.
If you didn't ruin your parents' computer,
Man.
was the music good?
Did you know about WinMax? I think it was.
Nah,
That was before LimeWire, bro.
you was too deep in it for me.
Too deep in it, bro.
Yeah.
I actually, okay, last random fact. I actually got a slight high school job because of my computer knowledge. And the only reason I had computer knowledge, because I had to troubleshoot the fuck ups I did on my grandmother's computer. The more you know with Galaxy Francis.
Thanks, y'all. This is another conversation with Jordan here in The Real Ones.
So what do you have to say about those allegations?